Have you ever wondered why the truly capable always get left behind? Why the loud, shallow, overconfident ones keep rising to the top, again and again? You're not imagining it. And no, the system isn't broken. The truth is far worse. The system works exactly as it was designed to select those who fit the crowd, not those who surpass it. Aristotle said it 2,000 years ago. The best regime is the one that fits its people. Society doesn't want geniuses. It wants survivors, people who can blend in, not stand out. Not the bearer of truth, but the one who knows how to say what's easy to hear. Not the visionary, but the mirror that flatters the masses. This video won't give you a new belief to hold on to. It will destroy an illusion you were taught since childhood, that talent will naturally find its place, that society rewards goodness. Instead, you'll see the mechanism of survival that governs the crowd, the reason power rarely ends up in the hands of those who deserve it. And when you're done watching, disappointment will fade, because next time you see an average man rise to power, you'll understand. He wasn't chosen because he's great, but because he's easy to swallow. In politics, and in every power game really, victory doesn't belong to logic, it belongs to emotion. You can have the right arguments, complete data, airtight theory, but if you don't make the crowd feel safe, if you don't touch their fear, their hope, their instincts, you'll still lose everything. Notice this: the people who understand nuance, who speak carefully, who begin with "I think," or "this case is complicated," are always judged as indecisive. Meanwhile, those who shout, "It's obvious," and "we must act now," make people feel more secure, even if it's all garbage. Aristotle in Rhetoric analyzes with cold clarity that to persuade a crowd you need three things: logos, reason; ethos, credibility; and pathos, emotion. But the most dangerous and the most effective is emotion. He wrote, "The emotions are all those feelings that so change men as to affect their judgments, and that are also attended by pain or pleasure." Emotion distorts judgment, and when the crowd feels insulted, threatened, or flattered, right and wrong stop mattering. Once you grasp this, you'll see, those in power don't have to be right, they only need to strike the crowd's nerve. Think it through. If politics were a contest of reasoning, why do nonsense talkers always get the applause? Because the audience doesn't want the truth. They want someone who makes them feel right. Because humans hate ambiguity and fear not knowing. Because we are emotional creatures before we are rational ones. Aristotle defined humans as, "Man is by nature a political animal." Truth doesn't move people. Emotion does. And precisely because of that political nature, we choose the person who makes us feel at ease, not the person who gives us the truth. We grow up believing that talent will eventually be recognized, that if you keep trying, keep learning, keep doing the right thing, your turn will come. But reality plays by different rules. Society doesn't pick the best. It picks the ones who fit, who match its rhythm, its tolerance, its fears. Not fit in the moral or idealistic sense, but in the sense of aligning with the crowd's threshold for comfort, control, and insecurity. To keep the collective from falling apart, the system automatically selects those who are easiest to digest, easiest to predict, easiest to follow. Aristotle wrote in Politics, "The best political community is formed by citizens of the middle class, and those states are likely to be well administered, in which the middle class is large." Not the genius, not the pioneer, but the one who is just enough, the one who makes others feel fine, not threatened. In a crowd, the chosen one isn't the person who sees farther, it's the one who reflects exactly what the majority feels in that moment. They don't lead, they represent. And that's the greatest illusion of all. Society is built for balance, not brilliance. So the smarter you are, the more different, the more sensitive, the higher your risk of being unfit. Not because you're wrong, but because you've gone too far ahead, and that makes others uneasy. Being compatible might be enough to get chosen, but being easy to understand is what gets you noticed in the first place. Because in a world that's constantly shifting, Most of us don't really want the right answer. We just want the feeling of understanding. And that's why society always favors those who can simplify reality, even if they have to distort it. In cognitive psychology, this is called the illusion of explanatory depth, the false belief that we understand something simply because someone explained it clearly. The truth is, we don't understand. We just feel comfortable. And anything too complex triggers resistance, like a foreign virus entering the mind. The intelligent ones, who see multiple layers, connections, and consequences, often can't compress everything into a few catchy lines. They speak slowly, at length, saying things like, "It depends on the situation," and are quickly dismissed as impractical or out of touch. Aristotle pointed out this weakness of the human mind in rhetoric when he wrote, "People do not naturally love the truth, but what is familiar to them." We don't love truth. We love what feels familiar. And that's why, in a crowd, the winner isn't the smartest, but the one who makes us feel like we understand, even when we don't. The result? Simplicity gets rewarded. Complexity gets erased, not because truth doesn't matter, but because truth makes us feel small, uncertain, and out of control. If simplicity makes people feel they understand, familiarity makes them feel safe. And for the crowd, safety always outweighs excellence. Human beings don't trust what they've never seen before, especially in times of crisis, instability, or change. Anything too different is seen as a threat, whether it's a new idea, a strange style, or a way of thinking that breaks the norm. That's why the truly exceptional, those who think ahead of their time, are so often rejected or even crucified. Nietzsche once wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. But if your why is too strange, too deep, too different from the crowd's, they won't listen. They'll exile you." Reality is far more brutal. People always believe the one who looks like them, who says what they're used to hearing, who dresses how they expect, who thinks in ways they already know. That's why in elections, debates, promotions, the winner is rarely the one with the right solution. It's the one who represents the majority's image of themselves. Power, when placed in one person's hands, isn't a reward for being different. It's a symbol of assimilation. And here lies the painful paradox. The more unique, profound, and forward-thinking you are, the further you drift from collective trust. Because what the crowd chooses has never been excellence. It's always familiarity, something easy to recognize, easy to hold on to, easy to love. And if familiarity earns acceptance, then awareness, the kind that sees too clearly, becomes the reason you're cast out. Not because intelligence is wrong, but because it sees what's wrong with the system. Those who are sharp enough to notice the cracks in the machinery, in the way society actually works, are often the ones who speak up. And anyone who threatens the illusion of stability is labeled dangerous. You don't have to do anything evil to be rejected. You just have to see too clearly. So clearly that the things others can live with, you can't pretend not to notice. George Orwell once wrote, "The further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those who speak it." That's the tragedy of the intelligent. They understand too quickly, see too deeply, but are too slow to fake ignorance just to fit in. Not smooth enough for politics, not cold enough to close their eyes. In a world where everyone is desperately holding on to the belief that everything's fine, the clear-minded become a threat to that fragile peace. They don't fit, and the system rejects them, the way a body rejects a foreign object. Because society doesn't truly want improvement, it wants continuity, and the intelligent, if not clever enough to stay silent, are expelled like a system error, not because they're wrong, but because they make others see that they are. And when intelligence becomes a threat, the system naturally tilts toward its opposite, mediocrity. It sounds harsh, but that's the logic of any society that values stability over progress. Mediocre people are easier to use. They don't ask too many questions. They don't dream of rewriting the system. They know how to play their part just enough, never making the machine uncomfortable. They keep the rhythm steady, not shaking it. Aristotle once compared a ruler to the heart of society, not a great mind, but a steady pulse that keeps the body alive. The king is the soul of the body politic, but often he need not be its mind. So don't be surprised when you see the less capable, less aware, less profound being chosen as leaders. They're not selected to lead, they're selected to stabilize, to make sure no one disrupts the spin of the wheel. And here's the bitter truth. The system doesn't pick them by accident. It picks them precisely because they're safe. They don't create waves, they don't raise questions, they don't stir chaos that can't be controlled, they just keep everyone busy, not awake. Progress isn't on the agenda. Stability is, and for stability, intelligence is never the first choice. Because when a system intentionally selects the mediocre to keep its rhythm, leadership no longer needs real power. It just needs a performance. That's the bitter truth of modern power structures. Those in charge aren't the writers of the story, they're just the performers. They don't truly craft policies. They don't create new orders. They don't break old boundaries. They read the script. They rehearse the tone. They learn how to stand, how to smile, how to nod at the right moment. And above all, they learn how to make the crowd feel safe. Politics, at its core, is a form of theater. And like any play, the lead role goes to whoever performs best. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." People don't see the truth. They see the spotlight, and if the image under that light looks strong enough, they hand over power. The result? Those with real ability, but awkward communication, those who can't scratch the crowd's psychological itch, are quietly removed, while the ones who play the part, even when empty inside, are placed on stage, applauded, and crowned. Because politics doesn't need truth. It needs the feeling of stability, the illusion of trust, the comfort of representation, and that's why, more than ever, rulers resemble artists, performers of reassurance, rather than true leaders of change. And when the best performers are handed the stage of power, we have to ask, who is that stage really serving? The crowd may be soothed, the system may keep its rhythm, but in return, what do we lose? That is the price. When fitting in is valued above talent, innovation is the first to die. Those who think differently are no longer welcome. Bold ideas become threats. Society stops moving forward and starts moving in circles. Next to vanish is courage, because if everyone must play a role, who dares to speak the uncomfortable truth? If every move must be calculated not to offend the masses, who will dare to take the first step? And finally, the quietest, yet deadliest loss of all, honesty. In a society where leaders must say what pleases, act what reassures, and live to fit the part, truth is the first thing sacrificed. Nietzsche once said, "Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed." And in a society that runs on illusions, the truly capable eventually withdraw, not because they are weak, but because there's no longer room to do what's right. So if you still believe that the people leading society are the most competent, maybe you haven't looked closely enough at how society chooses. It doesn't choose for merit. It chooses for rhythm. And if that's true, then our future will be designed by those who don't dare to move first, only by those who do just enough to keep everything standing still.